Welcome back to the Podgasm Marketing Podcast, the only podcast in the world that shows new podcasters how to create a clear, compelling brand message so you can attract more of the right people and grow your show faster. If you're a newer podcaster and are struggling to grow your show, this podcast is for you. Today I'm going to show you some great examples of some podcasts who have a very clear and compelling message. People understand what they do, and they're growing and they're doing well. So you can look at those, use them as an example and some inspiration to grow your own podcast. I'm Brian Fleming, the host of the Podgasm Marketing Podcast, where I show you how to craft a clear and compelling brand message for your podcast so more of the right people will find it, show up, subscribe, so your podcast will grow. And by the way, if you haven't done so already, make sure you go download the free Speak Your Listener's Language PDF. I give you a few simple questions you need to ask that are very easy to answer that will help you craft a very clear, compelling, and attractive message that will attract the right people to your podcast so it'll continue to grow. Just click the link in the description or go to podgasmshow.com. So to get ahead in any industry or really anything in life, it's best to just look at what successful people are doing and start doing some of those same things. You don't copy what they do, but you look at the things they're doing and you start modeling things after them. So it's really important to see what success looks like and how those people are doing it so you can start to do those same little concepts and integrate those same elements into your podcast. And so I have a few lined up today that I think are great. I listen to a lot of these myself. I've personally been connected with some of these people in one way or another, and I didn't choose them because I know them or I like them. I chose these strictly based on the fact that when I go and I read about their podcast, I know instantly what it's about, who it's for, how it benefits me, and how it can help me get a desired outcome, which is what you want to do with your podcast description, your episode titles, your episode descriptions, everything to do with your brand messaging. So let's get started. By the way, I have my phone right here. I'm going to be reading these right off my phone. The first one is called My First Million. What's it about? Sam Parr and Shan Puri, they brainstorm new business ideas based on trends and opportunities they see in the market. Sometimes they bring on famous guests to brainstorm with them. So what's it about? They brainstorm new business ideas based on trends they see in the marketplace. So you know this is for you if you're somebody who is interested in that. The next one is the Smart Passive Income podcast with Pat Flynn. Pat Flynn from the Smart Passive Income blog reveals all of his online business and blogging strategies, income sources, and killer marketing tips and tricks so you can be ahead of the curve with your online business or blog. It's very simple to understand what this podcast is about, and that's the goal. The next one is called Side Hustle School, a daily show for everyone who works a regular job and wants to start an income-earning project on the side. So if you work a job full-time and you're trying to start a side hustle that makes money, this is for you. And this is a great one too. It's a lot like this podcast, the Podgasm Marketing Podcast, in the sense that all the episodes are relatively short. They're all, his I think are like 6 or 7 minutes, no more than 10. And even on this podcast, we seek to keep each episode around 10 minutes or less. The next one here is called Sex with Emily. Well, what do you think that's about? Dr. Emily Morse shares her expertise on sex, relationships, and everything in between. Easy. Do you see how clear it is to understand? This person wasn't cute about what their podcast is about. They're clear. That's the key. Don't be cute, be clear. The Angry Therapist Podcast. I actually really like this guy. John Kim is the Angry Therapist, delivering self-help and therapy in a shot glass. Street level, 3 times a week, roughly 10 minutes an episode, with one longer interview or conversation on Mondays. So I like this. This is really creative, but it's still clear. He kind of balanced those two. He's the Angry Therapist. Delivers what? Self-help and therapy in a shot glass, meaning it's short sound bites. You take it in real quick, and it even says 3 times a week, it's roughly 10 minutes an episode. You know what to expect. Mentally Stronger with Amy Morin. Growing mentally stronger will change your life, and therapist Amy Morin wants to show you how to make it happen. So what's this podcast about? Becoming mentally stronger. Do you see how easy that is? You didn't even have to think about it. It just tells you. It's even in the name. It's called Mentally Stronger. Think about that, by the way. And there's a whole nother episode on this for titles for your podcast, but think about outcome-based titles. What do people get or become if they listen to your podcast? Well, if you listen to this one, Amy's podcast, you get mentally stronger. The next one is called The Selling Show. The Selling Show with David Newman is an interview-based podcast focused on the topic of selling professional services, geared to a core audience of B2B consultants, executive coaches, and thought-leading solopreneurs who want instant action strategies, advice, and insights to sell more easily, and more often. So that's a little wordier, but it's clear, and it's very well written. A copywriter definitely wrote this. It says it's a podcast focused on what? The topic of selling professional services. Then they go on to qualify who it's for. Geared to a core audience of B2B consultants, executive coaches, and thought-leading solopreneurs, and who want what? Instant action strategies. They want to be able to implement fast what they learn. Advice and insights that help them to sell more easily, and more often. This is very easy to, and it's called The Selling Show. I mean, it's what's it about? It's about selling. Marketing Secrets with Russell Brunson. He's the founder of ClickFunnels. Welcome to the Marketing Secrets with Russell Brunson. This show is for entrepreneurs and business owners who want to learn how to market in a way that lets us get our message, our products, and our services out to the world, yet still remain profitable. Easy. Marketing Secrets. Marketing Made Simple. I used to be a part of this organization. It's a great story brand, all that. A great organization. I was in that for a few years. Awesome thing. And definitely go listen to Marketing Made Simple if you don't listen to that one. What are they about? Every week on Marketing Made Simple, you'll get practical tips to make your marketing easy and make it work. So they teach you how to make your marketing easy and how to make it work. Pretty simple. And the name, again, is Marketing Made Simple. Oh, and here's a real favorite one of mine. It's called the Podgasm Marketing Podcast. Yeah, my podcast. What's it about? You can go look and test it. It says it. It's there. Clarify your podcast marketing message so more people will show up, subscribe, and listen more often. So what is this about? Podgasm marketing. What's it about? Clarifying your podcast marketing message. Why? So more people will show up, subscribe, and listen more often. Podcasters want more subscribers listening and showing up and subscribing more often. They want it to grow. Well, that's what I teach you how to do by saying what you do in a way that's compelling and clear. Songtown. I love Songtown. I've written and produced a few songs, one of them up in Nashville. And Songtown is absolutely awesome. Two great guys who run that podcast. And they've been in the music industry for years. Songtown is about, it says Songtown on Songwriting, which is the name of the podcast, is an honest look at what it takes to write a great song and navigate the music industry. What do you learn? It's an honest look at what it takes to write a great song and navigate the music industry. So if you're looking to become a songwriter and navigate the music industry, this is a good one to talk to. And they're very well connected, by the way. If you know who these guys are, Clay Mills and Marty Dodson, these guys are pretty heavy hitters in that industry, and they've been around a long time. Next, the Copywriters Podcast. Gee, what do you think that's about? I love the clarity in it, especially if you're a copywriter and you have a podcast about copywriting. You better be clear or you're going to shoot yourself in the foot along with your credibility. What's the Copywriters Podcast about? Can you guess? This podcast reveals the insider secrets of advertising copy that makes money. So if you're looking to write copy that makes money, especially in advertising, this is something you probably want to listen to. The Michael Sartain Podcast. This is a really interesting one. He has lots of people on and talking about actually a variety of things, which I don't recommend you do, but they riff on enough things and cause some commotion, and they're a little controversial to some people. I think it's pretty great, actually, but they do that enough, and they have a round table. They bring a bunch of people in and talk about different topics, and it's pretty unfiltered. It's actually quite entertaining and fun to listen to. The Michael Sartain Podcast, a show about intellectual curiosity, physics, sociology, finance, leadership, evolutionary psychology, conspiracies, entrepreneurship, human sexuality, sports, philosophy, dating, and history. Again, it's quite a bit, but I'll go into this one a little deeper in a different episode as to why I think it works. It says, where the playmate meets the fighter pilot and the astrophysicist meets the flat earther. So this is the Michael Sartain Podcast. So, hi, Michael. I like your podcast. The next one is called I Make Sex Toys. What do you think this podcast is about? I'm going to let you guess, but I'll only give you one guess. He says, hi, my name is Wayne, and I make sex toys for a living. This is probably about a guy's journey and what he does making sex toys for a living. So, I mean, you can literally be clear with any kind of podcast. There's the Becoming Unstoppable podcast by my friend Zachary Riker. I've known him for 12, 15 years now. The Becoming Unstoppable podcast shows you proven ways to win your inner battles so you can stop being miserable and enjoy your fucking life. I love it. Oh, and he's such a perfect example of somebody who's just living his life on his own terms. Go check out Becoming Unstoppable if you haven't done so already. The next one is Data Over Dogma. I actually really enjoy this because I'm a deeper thinker on things, and I come out of a religious background, and I'm a very pragmatic, critical thinker. But Data Over Dogma, it says, the About section, this ain't your pastor's Bible podcast. This is a deep interrogation of the book, and we're bringing receipts. Bible scholar, so it's by a Bible scholar, which I really like because that's a very credible person. Bible scholar Dr. Dan McClellan and atheist podcaster Dan Beecher team up to discover what the Bible actually says, what it decidedly doesn't say, even if everyone thinks it does, and explore the history of the most popular book of all time, Data Over Dogma. So, what do you think this is about? Looking at what a book, the Bible in this case, actually says versus what a lot of people think it says. So these are just a handful of examples of podcasts who are doing it right. They have clear messaging. You know what they're about. You know the outcomes, the benefits, and the things that will grab the attention of the right people when they read that, when they hear about it. See, they're all attracting the right kinds of people that they want, not just everybody. You can't be a podcast for everybody. If you are, you're for nobody. Do you struggle to write compelling and effective brand messaging that gets your podcast noticed? Do you want more people to listen to your podcast, but you struggle to talk about it in a way that grabs their attention and keeps it? If your podcast marketing messaging is not up to par, you are losing listeners. But maybe you don't know anything about copywriting and writing marketing messaging and such. Fortunately for you, I've been doing it for over 17 years. Do you want me to write your podcast marketing messaging for you in a clear, powerful, and compelling way that grabs your ideal listener's attention and makes them want to listen to your podcast over and over again? Each month, I take on a small, limited number of clients and rewrite their podcast marketing messaging for them. Yes, I do all the hard work for you, and you just get to enjoy the benefits of it without any of the headaches when I'm done. If you want me to craft clear, distinct, and compelling marketing messaging that grows your podcast for you so you can attract more listeners consistently, send me an email right now at podgasmshow@gmail.com. There's a link in the show notes. And put the word consult in the subject line to check my availability.